Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to create a blog app using React and a Bootstrap template. This app will have three main components: navbar component, header component, blog component, and a footer component. So let's get started. First, we need to set up our React project. We will use create React app command to do this. So open your terminal and run the command, and make sure you have node.js and npm installed on your computer. So npx create react app and your app name. So the app name is blog app. It will take some time. So meanwhile, let us get our Bootstrap template. So search for free Bootstrap template and select this link. Now we need to search for blog. So in the category, select blog. We are going to work on clean blog Bootstrap template. So download this template and extract the zip file inside the extracted folder. Now we will create the components from this HTML. And as you already know that the React component is a basic building block for the React app. Our template is downloaded. I'm going to extract it. Start Bootstrap. Now let us just preview this template in the browser. Now using this HTML and Bootstrap, we are going to create our user interface. So we will be breaking this into four components: header, navigation bar, then the blog list, and our footer. And there are two types of components in React: functional component. Function component are simple functions that take the data as props and display it. And class component uses class to represent a component and are more complex and can do more things. So let's start to create our components. Now let us navigate to our project directory, cd blog app. It's giving some error. Let me try again. Cd blog app. It should work this time. Yep. Now we are into the directory. Now let us type the command code dot. So this command use to open the code into VS Code uh, editor, and this will open our React project structure into the VS Code. Let me also start the React app. and by command npm start, so it will start running our application in browser also. Now let us go through the directory structure of the React app which we have just created. It is having node modules, is having all the libraries of nodes required for the React application. Then the public directory, it is used to keep all the CSS and JS and image files here. Then we have source folder. Inside the source folder we have app.js. Inside the app.js file we write our code. And last, package.json. This file is also very important because it contains all the dependencies of our React application. Now the next thing is we have to copy our JS and CSS and assets folder to of our HTML code to our React app. And let me also open the HTML so that we can just have a look at the HTML code. I'm opening the code into Notepad++. Now let me copy the CSS JS assets folder to our blog app inside the public directory of the React application. Yeah. The next thing is from our HTML we need to uh, use our CSS and JS and call them into our React application. So we need to use all the reference and CDN paths of the HTML into our index.html, which is already exist into the public directory. You have to take care of one thing. We have index.html of React application, and also we have index.html into our HTML code of the Bootstrap template. So do not copy the index.html, otherwise it will replace the React application index file and your React application will not work. And also copy the script file, the Bootstrap core.js file, and paste it at the bottom above the body closing tag. So we have called all our CSS, JS and the Bootstrap into the code, into our React code. Now we will work on app.js file. So in the app.js we will uh, call our components which we are going to create. So let me just remove the default code which already exists here, and we will call our components here. So let us first create our components one by one. So first I'm going to create a components folder into the source directory, I mean the src directory, and first component I'm going to create is header.jsx, and we will write our code and create the components. So first we will have to import the React. So import, then React and component from React in quotes. We are creating class component here. So export default class header extends component. Then we will call our render method. And inside the render, we will return our HTML code, and we will copy this HTML code from our HTML template. So we will copy the header part from the HTML template, which is already open in my Notepad++. I will copy this portion and paste it into VS Code header component. Next thing is class. The style class should be named as a class name. So we have to rename all the classes here as a class names. Otherwise, React will throw an error, because it's a keyword. So export default class will remain the class, but the style class should be renamed as a class name. So this is our header component. Now let us create the footer component as a footer.jsx. So what I will do, I will just quickly copy the code from header.jsx and paste it here into our new component footer.jsx, and change the name of the component as footer. Also, we will have to change the HTML code here from header to footer. So let us go to our Notepad++ HTML code and copy the footer portion of the HTML template. So select the footer part and copy, and paste it into our VS Code footer component. Also, we have to rename class as a class name except the export default class. So our footer component is ready. In the same manner, we will create our third component, which is navbar.jsx. And we will follow the same approach which we followed for footer component. Copy the code from header.jsx, paste it into navbar.jsx, and rename the class name as navbar, and change the HTML code. So copy the navbar code from our index.html, which is already there into Notepad++, and paste it here into the navbar component. Change the class to class name, and make sure the first export default class should not rename, otherwise it won't work. Now our navbar component is ready. the next thing is we will work in app.js. Now we will import all three components here first, one by one. And so first import header component, then we will import navbar component and footer component. Now we will call these components one by one. First header, then navbar, and finally footer. So now we have created three components, header, navbar, and footer, and assembled it into app.js. Next thing we are going to do is to copy the HTML of blog listing from the HTML and paste it here. So let us copy the main content, and paste it into app.js. Now we have completed our code, but uh, we have to remove the comments here because React does not understand these comments. So we have to remove all the comments one by one. I'm removing all the comments. Now one more important thing here, in the header component we have the inline CSS. So this inline CSS will not work. We will have to adjust it according to React. So change the background image. I should be capital and remove the dash. And in the URL, it should we should use uh, the backticks and remove the double quotes. So in case of inline CSS, we will have to follow the same approach. Our app is running, but it's throwing an error. Let us see what is the error. It's in the app.js file, and we missed a comment in the code. So let us just fix it quickly. in the app.js file, yes, this post review is throwing an error. Let us remove, and the code will compile again. It's compiling, it's taking some time. Let me refresh the page. Okay, so our blog app is loaded in the browser. As you can see, we have the blog listing here, but this is not the right approach because we have just hard coded everything here. So what we will do, we will create one more blog component and pass the data um, from the array. So we will create an array of blogs, and we will loop through the data in the array and pass it to the block component as a props. So let us create one more component to display the blog, and this will be our function component. So import react from react, then function block. Function block, and we will return the HTML code from here. So let us grab the HTML code from the app.js. First, let us just export the function, otherwise we won't be able to import it. Now let's get the HTML code for this component. Yeah, just we will copy this part and use it here. Now here we in the react component we can return the single element, so we will have to encapsulate this into a single div. Now we can remove this hard-coded HTML from here. We will be calling our block component here. Now I'm going to create an array of blog post, and inside this blog post we will have the data like the title, description, create date, and author, so that we can pass this information to our blog component. Ideally, in the real application, we call the APIs and fetch the data from the API and pass it to the component. But At the moment, it's just a sample application for learning. So I'm passing the data as an array so that I can demonstrate the component and pass the values there. So I've created 5 properties here as a JSON. Sorry, 4 properties: title, description, created date, and created by. And I will create at least 3 records so that we can display it on the block listing page. And now we will copy the data one by one from our existing HTML code so that we will have some dummy data to display there. Here, this is our post title. Then post description, then create date. And created by. Similarly, let me copy the data for the second record. Post title, then description, and create date. Similarly, let us create the third record. Let us copy title, description, create date, and created by or author. So now we have the blog post array ready. Now we will loop through these values and pass it to our block component. And for this, I will use the map method. So map method is used in JavaScript or TypeScript to loop through all the array values with its index. So inside the curly braces, block post dot map, then post index, and we will pass these values to our block component. Uh, One thing we have to ensure here that we have imported the block component at the top. Otherwise, the block component will not work here. It's not imported, so let me import the new block component. Just copied the above statement and change the name. Import block from components block. Now let us pass these values one by one. So first is key, which is index. So it's array index. Then the next is post.title, which we are receiving into from the array. Then description, post.description, and the next is created date, and created by. So this part is ready now. We will have to make the changes into our block component. We have to receive these values which we are passing from here into the block component and display it dynamically, because at the moment we have the static values, hard-coded values. So now let us make the changes into the block component. We are receiving these values: title, description, created date, created by. Now replace the hard-coded static values here with the above received values one by one. Now this setup will create a new blog component for each blog post in the blog post array. Pass the title, description, created date, and created by data to each block component, and the block component then will then render this data. We have For now we have just added an array of blog post in the app component, mapped over the blog post array to render the block component for each post, passing the necessary data as a props, and that is it. So you can see we have passed these values here. We can also modify the title and the subheading here. Title as a blog app and the subtitle as a simple React application. You can also change the other things like the images, fonts, color, and the other stuff. And that's it. We have successfully created a blog app using React and a Bootstrap template. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any question or if there is something specific you would like to learn. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.